Parliamentary updates.
33 delegates from 17 regions were welcomed at the Office of the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago for the Caribbean Clerks Programme 2025. Mr. Mike Everett, Clerk of the Housing, Communities and Local Government Select Committee in the UK House of Commons, addressed attendees.
I think we've got a really interesting programme over the next 3 days. I know that a lot of thought and work has gone into developing it by Chris and Charlotte in the CPA. And I hope that everyone who's here will feel that there's something in the programme that suits their interests and the needs of their respective parliaments. Personally, I'm really looking forward to meeting as many of you as I can and hearing about the challenges and the issues that you're dealing with in your parliaments and how you've tackled some of those issues.
Thanking the Trinidad and Tobago Clerks of the House for hosting the seminar, Mr. Everett told participants about what to expect over the next 3 days.
What we do as parliamentary officials really does matter. Members of Parliament are obviously the most important thing. They're the elected representatives. They're who we are here to serve and support. But members do come and go, and Parliament as an institution remains, and so it's important that it has trusted, dedicated and impartial parliamentary officials to support the work and support the democratic process. So kind of one of the key objectives for this conference is for us to learn from one another and to develop so that we can go back and support our parliaments as effectively as we can. And finally, as we've already heard, one of the other objectives or benefits of this conference is the opportunity to build relationships, to network with one another, to help facilitate that peer-to-peer learning.
Clerk of the House of Representatives of Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Brian Caesar, told us why such a workshop was necessary.
We have found that, of course, the clerkship is a career path, and certainly as a region, we do not have as often as we should interfaces with each other as clerks. We do have, within recent years, a younger cadre of staff in this region, and therefore we have come up with a program, we've developed a program, designed a program that will certainly help to grow, develop, and build and support the younger cadre of staff. The reality is that parliaments are institutions and the parliaments are here for all times. And certainly in order to ensure that you develop best practice in your jurisdiction, that you understand parliamentary procedure and practice, and that you appreciate that oftentimes what you may be experiencing in your jurisdiction may not be novel. It may have occurred, or whatever the issues may be, it may have occurred in other jurisdictions. It certainly helps for you to come together as clerks and certainly have discussions on what may be exist in other jurisdictions, or where there may be similarities, or where there may be differences, and how some of those things can be resolved and addressed.
Mr. Caesar spoke about some of the goals set out by the organizing committee.
The objective that we set ourselves certainly was to bring as many of the clerks in the region together as possible. And so on this occasion we partnered with the UK Parliament, and we were enjoined by Parliamentary. And from the interactions, the interfaces, the exchanges, I would certainly say yes. The outcome, one of the outcomes I would think would be that of the networking, because of course there are very many clerks here who would have met each other for the first time, and having interacted and interfaced over the last 3 days, hopefully they're coming out of this exercise all the better for it, and having the network among themselves that will allow for them to be able to call, WhatsApp, email each other, and so they bounce things off of each other that would help for them to treat whatever issues they may be facing in their jurisdiction.
While acting clerk of the Senate, Ms. Chantal LaRoche, said when clerks come together, they find support and guidance.
Hosting the Caribbean Clerks Conference is important because it is a bit of continuous learning for clerks across the region. Being a clerk is a dynamic position. There are things changing in the region all the time, and it's a nice way for us to network and for us to learn from each other and share ideas. Sometimes the problems you think you are having on your own are occurring on other islands and other territories. So it's good to get together, bounce ideas off of each other, and connect every year in this forum. I think these sessions have exceeded my expectations, particularly the ones where we had the benefit of experienced clerks, such as Mr. Isaacs from Guyana, Mr. Eastman from Barbados, and former clerk of Trinidad and Tobago, Mrs. Sampson Miguel. Those clerks put together probably have over a century of experience, and they really provided us with a wealth of knowledge in some areas, such as the independence of Parliament and the role of the clerk and procedural challenges. And I think not just me, but clerks younger who are coming up really did benefit from their sharing of their experience.
The topics for discussion included the role of clerks and officials in Parliament, the independence of Parliament, inducting new members, overcoming procedural challenges, technological integration in parliaments, and improving Hansard efficiency. Christopher Brown, Programme Manager at Commonwealth Parliamentary Association UK office, who was part of the organising team, spoke of his observations up to that point.
So really I think the role of clerks as stewards of parliaments and their importance in really upholding parliamentary processes, and in particular it's been interesting to hear from a range of legislatures that have elections upcoming, and I think really just their importance in ensuring that parliamentarians are ready to take on their new roles as they're elected.
Many of the participants expressed satisfaction at having attended.
I could honestly say yes, because there are things that were a bit, weighing on, certain things that you are actually trying to figure out how they differ from the BVI to Trinidad, and you could see the difference. And I'm actually enjoying the sessions.
Ms. Penn also spoke about what stood out most for her.
The code of conduct, because I think that's something that we need to elaborate on as far as for the members, so they can get a better understanding on how they should manage themselves in the House and how they should behave as representatives, how they should be looked at.
Ms. Venetia Proctor of Anguilla mentioned some of the areas in which she received clarity to better perform her duties.
I can say my goals are being met, especially in the area of the role of clerk, Hansard, and procedural challenges. I believe what stood out for me is the role of the clerk, not to look at it as a mere administrative role, but to look at it as a role of leadership and where apolitical advice is given.
The clerk of the Bahamas Parliament was pleased to be a participant.
My main goal of learning or increasing my knowledge of parliamentary practice and procedure is being met. Two things stood out to me. The first being that parliaments in the region, they share the same experiences with parliamentarians, with challenges to procedure, as well as their journey to independence is pretty much the same. And that the Caribbean Clerks is a close-knitted group of people who are very supportive of one another.
Meanwhile, Ms. Judith Baker of the Legislative Assembly of Montserrat was happy for the opportunity to contribute and learn.
I'd like to say that it's really a very good thing that clerks from around the region could meet and be able to discuss the different issues, provide solutions, and assist us, all of us at the end of the day, in doing our work better when we return to our own countries.
Ms. Baker was intrigued by how the use of artificial intelligence can bring efficiency to the work of legislators.
The use of AI in our legislatures, the possibility of using it is really very interesting, because it could enable us to be more efficient in what we do. It could reduce the time spent to get the minutes, the Hansards prepared, and at the end of the day, it should be able to help us, even though we are still faced with the challenges of the cost of using the AI.
And our own clerks of the houses spoke about their experience as participants in the program.
Hearing the experience of the Barbados Parliament in relation to the independence of Parliament and autonomy was one of the sessions that I looked forward to the most, and Pedro Eastman did not disappoint. He did give us some perspective. Trinidad and Tobago is desirous of moving into a parliament that is autonomous as well, and hearing from him their real-life experience, and they have a parliamentary commission that is reviewing the parliament right now. I think that helped to kind of put things in perspective. I had my own ideas, and we see examples on paper, but it's always better to hear how it's working in real life. I think that one was very helpful for me particularly.
Certainly the independence of Parliament, it is one of those things that we're trying to grapple with in the region, and whilst in our case we may be very fortunate in terms of the way we operate, there are some parliaments that do have some limitations, and certainly it is considered that there are other ways in which they may be able to achieve their objectives, or better achieve their objectives as parliaments, and therefore the question of the independence of Parliament, which was one of, I think, our second session, session 2, I think that was one of those sessions that certainly stood out, really hearing from some of the other parliaments and the clerks in terms of some of what obtains in their parliament.
Stay tuned for more parliamentary updates. For more information, visit our website at www.ttparliament.org and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Instagram.
Parliamentary updates.